Welcome to 4C Radio. We are broadcasting from the central campus of Christ University, Bangalore. 4C Radio is brought to you by the Department of Media Studies of Christ University. For all who are looking for a platform that focuses on communities, commons, climate, and communication, this is the place to be. What's more, this station is run by a diverse community of students and dedicated faculty members. Tune in to experience hard-hitting interviews, fact checks, myth-busting, on-ground stories, campus news, and much more. In the current geopolitical situation, Iran plays a significant role both for its political influence in West Asia and its participation in global oil trade. Recently, Iran has been in the news again as protests started against the poor economic conditions and the crises that have followed. The protests also turned against the Iranian regime, which responded with violence. From official Iranian numbers of 3,000 people being killed to the UN Special Rapporteur on Iran stating that more than 20,000 have been killed since the protests began in December 2025. Credible information around Iran has been tough to find in between propaganda both from Iran and the West and the general misinformation on social media. Historically, Iran and India have always been significant in Southwest Asia. The Cold War saw interferences and meddling of domestic politics of countries by the superpowers. A cascading effect of this was the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran that saw the emergence of an authoritarian Shiite regime, which has resulted in the stifling of personal freedoms of its people. Past few decades, Iranian art and cinema have become spaces for resistance against the regime and problems people face in their everyday life. In the past few decades, Iranian art and cinema have become spaces for resistance against the regime and the problems people face in their everyday life. With a vibrant history and a contemporary protest movement being crushed using violence, Sreemoyee Singh's 2023 documentary film, And Towards Happy Alleys, provides an insight into the daily lives of Iranians and how they navigate through the rules of the regime. Sreemoyee is the first non-Iranian to go film a documentary on and in Iran. Taking up the film as part of her doctoral work, Sreemoyee traveled to Iran, learned Persian in Tehran, and documented the country through her eyes and her interactions with filmmakers, artists, and actors. In this episode, our student reporter Shradhha Shiggaon talks to Sreemoyee about her movie, her experiences, and what we can learn from the people of Iran.
Ma'am, could you please tell us what the film is about?
This is a documentary that I've shot in Iran. It's about how people in Iran make way for preserving expression, despite living in a place which is authoritarian, which censors a lot of things, especially human expression through art, cinema, music, and poetry. So it's about how expression flows despite a lot of repression.
And what prompted you to make this specific film?
This began long back when I was a student of cinema myself and when I was 21. So this is way back 2010 to 2012 when I was doing my master's in film studies in Jadavpur University in Calcutta. We had this module on world cinema and a module on Iranian cinema, and I really fell in love with the films of the new wave that we saw, the films of Kiarostami, Jafar Panahi, Mohsen Mahmoud, many others. And these films were mostly taught in our college actually, alongside the readings of the poetry of Farrokhzad, and other poetry, other modern Persian poetry. And these modern poets really inspired these filmmakers, the new wave. So Persian poetry and the cinema of the new wave truly inspired me. Go to Iran, meet the filmmakers and talk to them and ask them, how do you keep finding inspiration in a place like Iran, which is increasingly cracking down on dissenters, and anyone who actually talks about any kind of politics is critical of society in any way. So, how do you find the strength to tell your stories when you're not allowed to. Wanted to ask them all of that. And so, yeah, and then I just followed my inspiration. I enrolled in a Persian course in Tehran University in Iran, and 2015 I went to Iran for the first time, and the journey began.
You mentioned your world cinema class.
Mm.
What was it specifically about Iranian cinema that struck to you as opposed to probably the rest of cinema that you were exposed
Yeah, so like I said, the a couple of things, but mostly how, if you watch some of these films that I'm talking about, you'd see how life affirming and poetic and hopeful and humane the stories are, and that's like not what you expect. You know, let's say from a place like Iran, which is known for authoritarian government, the regime, how it censors and cracks down on its people. In a situation like this, also, how do people not break down but tell stories of beauty, hope, and resilience? So this, the hope, resilience, and the beauty, despite living in a place that cracks down on you so harshly, was really something that I took back from the films, and that's the thing that inspired me the most.
From your time at Iran, are there any moments or anecdotes that you would like to share with our audience?
Oh, there's so many, but I mean, I was basically living with friends. I was living while making the film, so the film is born out of lived experiences. So this sequence, like I just said, that when I started picking up the songs, Persian songs, been singing a lot, feel like I'm drying up, in the sense, feels very barren if I can't sing or I don't have an instrument to practice. And I'd oftentimes wonder where this extreme joy came from, till I realized that, women are not allowed to sing in Iran, and this whole thing about a woman singing opened up the space of forbidden expression, which was where that joy came from. So it's about joy as a form of rebellion against repression and oppression and censorship. So the film kind of also looks at finding moments of joy, because that's what authoritarian regimes don't want you to feel. Joy, love, friendship. Moments like these were very interesting.
How was it? The last scene in the film also was where the children started singing with you. Was it hard? Did the teachers there ask you to sing? Or?
Yeah,
Okay,
they did.
you
They
to
asked
sing.
me to sing, yeah. So I was actually portrayed as an Indian who speaks Farsi, and how I should be like an example for them to follow. Because they were saying that you don't take Persian seriously, but look at this Indian girl who's crossed borders and has come, and she can read Furugh, and she can speak and also sing. So, and then they were like, okay, please sing for the students. And then that kept happening for different batches, and then I knew that the students wanted to sing because it was a love song that everyone knew, but they were not being allowed, until what you see, it was the last batch of students, and I just, made a gesture with my hand, and they all erupted into the song. So yeah, it's them requesting me to sing, but also I sang because I wanted to be joined in chorus with other women, and I just was hoping that I'll get that moment.
Furugh has been someone who's inspired you a lot through the process, is what I gathered. I mean, based on what you've spoken about Furugh, she seems to be someone whom the government does not like. So is she still taught in schools? Is she this person who's been painted in a very bad light and asked to
No,
stay
no,
away
she
from?
hasn't been. She is mostly seen as a rebellious figure, but her verses are censored a lot. Like there's this one poem where she talks about the act of lovemaking, which has been censored. I don't think that happens a lot. When she was alive, it was quite hard for her to, get her voice, because this was in the 60s. And as a woman, to be seen independently and be not taken for granted and taken as an independent author, it was very hard, because at that point of time, it was expected for women to use pen names of men and write and publish, but Furugh never did that. So it was, she struggled a lot to find a voice of her own. But she wrote about desire. She was censored. She still is censored. But somehow her work is so universal that I don't think they've been able to take it out fully. She's also one of the most read poets in the world, because her work is easier to translate.
So what advice would you have for beginners who are getting into long form projects?
Like I said, just don't be afraid. Just go out in the field, whatever the field is. Acquaint yourself with the field. Practice a bit with your equipment. Know your equipment. Trust yourself. Give time. Spend time. Acquaint yourself with the people you want to film. I think documentary filmmaking is all about building trust and sharing love in a way that the people you want to film would want to trust you to tell their stories. So I think to arrive there. So basically, doing all of this, not being too obsessed with technicalities. I mean, it's great to have them sorted, but if you're beginning, you don't need to be so obsessed with that. But intent needs to be clear. And with practice, technicalities will be developing also. So, yeah, just to go out there. The first step is to go out in the field, know the field, and allow the field to teach you, because that really happens, and that happens when you spend time.
You spoke about getting involved with the people you're filming, forming relationships with them, but then we are often told that we have to stay away from what we are studying, like do not get inside, stand outside, give the outsider's perspective. What do you have to say?
I think you are not told to give the outsider's perspective. Maybe you are talking about a certain amount of detachment and distancing that you are supposed to do, especially in the field of academia and academic writing. And that's very different from filmmaking, which is quite. I mean, you can still hold your distance. Everything needs a certain distance, a time to mature and ripen. But I think I believe differently. I feel like one must go to the field with a sense of empathy, warmth, and friendship also. Also depends on the kind of work you want to do. If you want to make a personal film, of course you need your empathy, you need your identity, your character to assimilate with others, and for that you need to develop friendships. Otherwise, why will people trust you? The problem with outsiders is that it feels like transactional, and I don't think we can impose someone to tell their stories to us unless they want to. So the idea is to really give your time and energy and not feel like I'm giving my time, but doing it lovingly, doing it wantingly, doing it like you want to do it, not because you have to do it. And only then will people truly open up, because otherwise you'll end up making a film that has been made so many times, that has been told in news. But if you're making a film, you need to know why you're making a film and what you want to achieve with it. So, and you want to make something that is unique and like capture people, capture their emotions. That, how can you capture emotions if you don't give emotions back? And it's different from academic writing. It's different from journalistic filmmaking. Creative documentaries is what we are talking about. Creative filmmaking is very different genre. So to get a certain involvement emotionally and to get the audience connect emotionally, you as a filmmaker need to be emotionally available and need to give the love to get the love back. It's very simple. It is like real life.
That put a lot of things into perspective. What was your experience in Berlinale? What was it like to show your film for the first time?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was really, really magical, because I mean, when you independently make films for such a long time and you're working alone, especially like in a film which is a smaller budget film, you end up working alone and maybe with one or two people in your crew. So it's a very lonely journey. And you're just working with the belief and trust that mostly stems from within, that you're doing something good. And oftentimes you kind of think many days that, am I even doing something worth it? Is it going to resonate with the world? And then after years, let's say a film festival like the Berlinale, or let's say Cannes, or a film festival like that picks up your film, and then you get to share it with so many people, and you see the electrifying response. You see how people respond to it, the hugs that you get, the pats on the back, and so much. You kind of feel like that it's all been worth it, and that it's been 7 years of your life, but it's all and more for all of that. I think we all make art with the hope that we can share it one day with a larger audience, because we want our expressions to reach out the world, our stories to reach out to the world. And festivals like the Berlinale and many other festivals actually all around the world give space to independent artists, and I think it's incredible.
Also, can you tell us about what you're working on right now?
I'm working on my next film, which is a documentary. It's a personal documentary on the city that I grew up in. It's Calcutta, and it traces the story of my family, my father and mother, set in the city. I mean, talks about the time that they inhabited, the 70s, 80s, and looks at the time that we are inhabiting, and looks at how the transformations that the city has been through, people have been through, and all of that, and looks at personal stories of, like my family. So I'm filming my mother, trying to understand my father, passed away when we were very young. It's about music, it's about the city, it's about everything that we grew up around, which we are also losing because the city is losing the sense of familiarity. So I'm trying to make a film out of all that.
That's beautiful, man. I must tell you, it was after watching your film that I went back. I heard the songs that were there in the film, and all of these people, Panahi, Kiarostami, Farooq, all of them were new names that popped up the first time I saw your film. And there are times when I think about how Panahi stayed in the country. He chose to stay. He didn't choose to leave, and that gives a lot of strength. So
yeah,
I think a lot of your viewers felt that. I'm not sure if I should be speaking on everybody's behalf, but thank you so much for giving us that film. I don't think it was just for Iran, it was for all of us.
No, of course, it is for me, it is for you, it is for Iran, and it's for India. So.
That was Shradhha Shiggaon talking to Sreemoyee Singh, documentary filmmaker and the first non-Iranian to film a documentary on and in Iran. The documentary and the filmmaker's experiences certainly provide a novel insight into Iran and the similarities and differences that we share with their people. That's all for today's episode. Hope it made you think about people, power, and resistance. As always, stay curious and question everything. We will be back with more next week. Today, we leave you with Sreemoyee's rendition of a Persian song that got her closer to the people of Iran. This podcast was illustrated by Vernika, edited by Guru Aditya, hosted by Kailash Koushik, and the interview by Shradhha Shiggaon. Follow us on all socials. Like, share, subscribe.
ये दिल मीगे बेराम बेराम ये दिलम मीगे नाराम नाराम तौकत نداره دلم دلم بی تو چه کنم پیشش که زیبا زیبا خیلی کوچیکه دنیا دنیا با یاد تو هم هر جا ترکت نکنم سلطان قلبم تو هستی دروازه های دلم را شکستی پیمان یاری به قلبم تو بستی با من پیوستی اکنون اگر از تو دورم به هر جا بر یاد دیگر نبندم دلم را سرشارم از آرزو و تمنا ای یار زیبا